Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. We just finished up our spring 2023 first cutting of hay and got it all under the shed and put away, and it turned out pretty good. So one thing that during hay season, we go through a lot of diesel fuel for our tractor. And over the period of like the week that we cut hay, you know, I'll use around 25 gallons or so of diesel just in the tractor alone. And it's not very convenient to shuttle 5-gallon cans around all the time. What is in this box here beside of me today is actually a solution to that. I ended up going ahead and getting a small diesel tank to have a bulk diesel container basically, so that the beginning of the season I can kind of fill this thing up and I don't have to worry about making trips all the time to the station while I'm working hay, and I can just fill up my tractor as needed. So let's get in here and open this box up and I'll show you what I got. So I ended up with this 58-gallon tank from Vevor, and this tank is very similar to some other tanks, but you know, kind of what pushed me towards this is the price. So I've been thinking about getting a diesel storage tank for some time, and a lot of the tanks that you find, even, you know, like some of the metal ones, you've got to add nozzles and pumps and all that kind of stuff to them, and those nozzles and pumps and hoses are not cheap. So by getting this, I could kind of combine everything together, and it comes with everything that you need and is a whole lot less in price. I don't know how good the quality is yet, but that's what we're going to kind of check out. We're going to fill this thing up, we're going to use it, we're going to see if we have problems with it or if it's just flawless the entire time we have it. So this tank does have the lid where you have your storage for everything. Kind of keeps everything covered and out of any of the elements. It comes with 13 feet of hose. Also has an automatic shut-off nozzle. And then it has alligator clips to hook onto a battery to power it. As you can see, we've got the pump here for diesel, and then we do have the filter on here. And it seems like it's loose, so I'm going to snug that down by hand. And another feature I liked about this tank is the fact that it has a fuel gauge on it. I have to say though, this thing looks a lot better quality than I thought it would. All the fittings and hardware and stuff here actually looks robust and well made. It also did come with a little lock. This is what the nozzle looks like. I have to say that this thing actually feels just as good as what you would feel like at a gas pump somewhere. Also, it's got this piece here, which this is actually a swivel for it. I went ahead and kind of tightened everything down. They have rubber seals in them. I don't think you're supposed to use Teflon tape or anything like that. If you were to use that, you definitely want to use something that's a chemical grade Teflon tape. If we have any leaks, we'll take it apart and put that on there. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to use the lock if you're hauling it down the road in the back of your truck or something, because the lid, it doesn't have any kind of latch on it. So the lock actually will hold that securely down so it doesn't blow out in the wind. I decided to set this thing on this little dolly. The only thing I don't like about the fork pockets is that they're on the narrow side, and you have to set your forks really narrow in order to fit in there. Now that we've got it set in here, let's see if all of our cables, our battery connections, and all that stuff's able to reach to the front of the tractor and be able to hook up to the battery. I plan on eventually maybe just getting me a separate battery and keeping it here and either putting like a solar charger on it, because then I don't have to worry about whether I have access to a 12-volt battery. It's always going to be kind of contained, and then I'll have like a little self-charging thing here to keep it charged up all the time. And another thing too, this tank The paperwork says it's a 58-gallon tank. It held 56 gallons. You might have been able to squeeze a little bit more in there, but I don't think it would have held 2 more gallons. The fuel gauge does read just barely below the full mark. So as you can see, it's not quite up to the full mark, so maybe you could squeeze a couple more gallons in it. But the diesel is pretty close to the top, and it was starting to kind of bubble and, you know, gurgle as I was getting up here. I don't know, maybe there's enough space around in through here to be able to actually get that in there, but I didn't want to try it. It seemed like it was awfully close. So I bought the off-road diesel for $3.43 a gallon, and the same place had on-road diesel for $3.77. This looks like it has quite a bit of battery cable. All right, so nope, it's not going to reach the front. So what I'm going to do is move some gravel here out of the way. And I think I can wheel the cart right up here beside the tractor. So now we've got our 12-volt hooked up, and that's just long enough. I've got it sitting against the back tire, and it's just long enough to not be really pulled tight. So now we're ready to try it out. Okay, now where's that leaking at? Leaking around the filter. This is supposed to pump about 10.6 gallons per minute. So it shouldn't take too long. We're going to see if the shutoff kicks off on its own like it's supposed to. Oh crap. Don't show that. All right, it shut off. And it's full to the top right there. So now we just shut the pump off. By having this nozzle and stuff on here too, it keeps you from having to worry about the fuel in the line coming out. So the fuel stays in the line up to the pump, and then whatever drains out of the nozzle, then that's it. Then the rest of it stays in the hose. It stays primed. And that's actually good because it's just like a gas pump that you pull up to and you pump gas or diesel into your car or whatever. It works exactly the same way, except you just turn the pump on with a switch. So that's pretty awesome. I'm really happy with that. Don't do like I did though. I was trying to get some footage there up close where you could see, you know, kind of how much it was pumping. While I had the camera in one hand, I had the nozzle in the other, and I got it off and I went to catch it and I squeezed the handle, and squirted diesel all over the back of the tractor. So aside from that, don't try to do it with your hands full. Am I liking this right now? Yes, it is awesome. I wanted to show you where that put us at there too on the fuel gauge. We're at 3/4 of a tank. So if 3/4 is actually 1/4 of that tank, then the tractor held 14 gallons. You know, again too, I wanted to put it on those wheels for this very reason, because, you know, I actually had to wheel it up there a little bit closer to the front of the tractor, because typically I back into the shed. And if I back into the shed and I have this thing sitting all the way back here in the corner, it's kind of tough, you know, for it to reach the front of the tractor. So I have the option just to wheel it up there just a little bit and then make my connections and then go ahead and fill up. So the pump, whenever you turn it on and it builds pressure, I don't know if it's a pressure relief valve, but that thing makes a kind of a grinding sound. We'll just have to see how long this thing actually lasts. It kind of worries me about that. You know, as you can hear, you know, the pump build that pressure and it kind of bogged down and then it kind of makes like a little grindy sound. So hopefully that's not an issue, because everything else about it I'm absolutely loving right now. I love the fact that it has a filter, which the filter needed tightened down. And if you remember earlier today, I actually checked that and it was loose and I tightened it. But then when I turned it on and it built that pressure, it started spraying out diesel. I was able to get enough on it though, just tightening it by hand, to stop the leak completely, and there's no leaks anywhere else. I didn't actually time that, so I don't know how long it took. It didn't take very long, and it was a whole lot easier than trying to stand here at the back of the tractor lifting 5-gallon cans up. So this is really a good fuel solution for us anyways. So I just thought I'd share this fuel tank with you today, because I've seen a lot of these out there on the market, and I've seen some that are a lot more expensive, and I've seen other solutions like the metal tanks and, you know, buying pumps and shut-offs and hoses and all that stuff separate that can really add up to a lot of money. This 58-gallon tank with the filter, I believe, was either $5.89 or $5.99 and free shipping on it. So that's a pretty big plus too, and it only took about 3 or 4 days for me to get it. And that's kind of the reason I went with that, because it's a self-contained unit, all comes together. All you have to do is just put the hoses on it and just kind of check everything, make sure everything's tight, and it's ready to go. You just hook it up to a 12-volt power source and you can start pumping fuel out of it. So if you'd like to check one of these out, I will leave a link in the description below so you can check it out. Stay tuned, because we're definitely going to have follow-ups, you know, how long this thing lasts, or if we have problems with it down the road, and, you know, in a few months, am I still liking it as much as I do right now? So thanks for watching today. Stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one.